All right, guys, welcome to Six Pack Sports. You got Drew and Rich here. We're two lifelong Detroit sports fans. He likes the Spartans for some reason. I am a fan of the Wolverines. We met probably about a decade ago working together and just got a friendly rivalry the entire time. So, after years of talking shit back and forth to each other about Michigan and Michigan State, we decided to record it. We're fans of the Lions, the Tigers, Red Wings, and the Pistons, and obviously the college teams in Michigan. So, Drew, anything to add about why you chose the sorry team to root for?
I'm going to be honest with you. First off, isn't it crazy how probably the worst job in both of our careers brought this together?
Yeah, I mean, working for that particular minor league baseball team, which is where we met, was far and away the worst job that I've had. And I've had some stinkers through the year, but that one, just the owner just sucked the life out of that place. We'll tell stories about it later, I'm sure.
I'm sure it'll get brought up, but at the end of the day, I was raised a Michigan fan. My old man was a Michigan fan. I remember cheering in '97 when they beat Ohio State with Charles Woodson, and about 7th, 8th grade, freshman year, started going to sports camps at Michigan State, and it just clicked for me, and I became a fan. And looking back now, I'm not changing nothing. Can't do it. Six Pack Sports Podcast. Our goal here is a 6-topic lineup focusing on all Michigan sports, mixed in with a little life, some parenting and marriage storylines, and I'm sure we're going to get into that a lot. But I mean, if you're ready, topic one: MSU UM. All jokes aside, where do you start with that massacre? Going into the game, I knew it was going to be a tough game. Michigan is playing extremely well, which, by the way, for our future listeners, I hate Michigan football. Hate them.
Despise it.
You're going to hear me just go on rants sometimes. But at the end of the day, I'm also a realist, and I understand great teams when I see them. And Michigan's got a good team right now. I'm not happy about it, but I thought, and correct me if I'm wrong, I thought Michigan State's defense held them in the game until Sparty was just doing 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out.
Well, something happened in the second half, and Michigan flipped the switch on defense. I really wasn't worried about this game if Michigan played the way they could. I've seen them. Their front seven on defense and their offensive line are top tier. They are going to move the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball, control the pace of play. If they do that against anybody, they're going to win. It's how they beat Ohio State last year. It's how they've been running the table this year. Sparty came out and was slinging the rock. Your receivers are very good for whatever reason.
Keon Coleman will be playing on Sunday.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
I don't know why they decided to go away from it. The game wasn't out of hand. Michigan State is leading going into the second quarter. Michigan takes over with the run game, and they're moving people around, and it seemed like MSU was trying to match their run game against there. And, I mean, I don't understand the play calling on Michigan State side that kind of went away from that. I would have done something to try and slow down the Michigan front seven. Some quick screens, some quick slants, something to back it off, because their pass rush was getting after it, and then they completely went away from the pass. It didn't make any sense to me. And then in the second half, Michigan dominated. There was a point, end of the third quarter, early fourth quarter, where Michigan State had -1 yard in the second half. It was insane.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I watched the whole game. I didn't want to, but there was a stretch where we did probably 3 or 4 3 and outs, and that defensive line, you can't do that to them. It was just straight exhaustion. I think there was a lot of play calling that I'm not happy about on the Michigan State side. A couple fourth downs That slow handoff. I can't think of what
the counter.
called.
They ran. It was like a delayed counter or something like that on 4th and goal, or not 4th and goal, but 4th and 1 on like the
4th
6th.
and 1 in the red zone.
And it made no sense. I mean, I was looking at that drive earlier today because I was curious what it was. They got down there. They threw a cut. They had a good mix of back and forth, pass, run, pass, run. They got inside the 15 and they ran it 4 straight times. It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm. So end of game, 29-7. Vegas, they know what they're doing. So they definitely got the spread correct, and I'm sure Vegas made a pretty penny that day. This score is exactly what I thought it was going to be, and it's actually not as bad as it could have. I think that Michigan could have poured it on a lot more in the third, but settling for field goals as well was another thing. So the whole bend don't break concept for their defense was working out. They only let up on a couple field goals, which kept them in the game, but they just couldn't move the ball. Pure and simple.
It doesn't work against good teams. When you play a bad Michigan State team, when you play some of these Big Ten teams like Rutgers and Nebraska, you can get away with that, with kicking field goals. When you play good teams like Ohio State, and like they will hopefully play in the playoff, you have to score touchdowns. I don't know if they were taking last night to work on some stuff, but J.J. McCarthy looked a little off. I think he only threw for like 60% completion rate. They just didn't look sharp. They didn't look like they were clicking. Let's see. He was 15 for 26. I
actually thought that he was kind of a late career Peyton Manning in the game. He was just a game manager. He was there to make sure it didn't screw up. And when you're beating a team like you are, why use your cool plays? Save them. So I think he was going through a little game manager status quo there, but
I hope that's the case because they did run the ball exceptionally well. But if they're going to need to lean on JJ, and he's looked really good at times this year. He's made great plays with his legs. He's thrown some dimes. So I'm excited to see what they can do. I don't know how they dropped to 5 today. I don't know if you just saw that with the rankings. Clemson jumped them to 4. It's Tennessee's 1, Ohio State's 2, or Georgia's 2, Ohio State's 3, Clemson's 4. And they didn't even play this week, and they barely beat Syracuse the week before.
Which Notre Dame took care of handedly, which surprised me.
Yeah.
I think the fact that they didn't blow out Sparty dropped them. Is that fair?
Must be. I don't know.
Like 22 points, and you're getting dropped in rankings, which, by the way, they mean nothing.
Yeah.
They mean
just all about the playoff.
End.
Well, they're going to have to most likely beat Ohio State regardless. That you knew it was going to come down to that. So it doesn't really matter this week. It's still, I just don't understand what they're thinking. How you could have watched these teams all year. And I've watched a couple Clemson games, especially being down here in Florida now. Like we get a lot of the ACC and SEC action. They don't look good like they have in the past. So for them to jump when Michigan has looked so dominant all season, I mean, the shellacking they put on Penn State 10 days ago, and then to come out against a rival, and the score doesn't reflect the game, in my opinion. If you 0%. look at, I've got the stats up here. Michigan State had 27 first downs to Sparty's 11. They were 9 for 16 on third down, so they were great there. Sparty was 2 for 11. Total yards 443 to 252. Like they just controlled the line of scrimmage. They controlled the game. The time of possession was 40-33 to 19-27. Like to do that against your rival, it's pretty impressive. So I don't agree with it, but again, big week this week for a lot of teams. A lot still to come before we actually get to the meaningful football at the mid-November for a lot of these teams.
So hats off to Michigan. They kicked their butts. I am a diehard Sparty fan. I will cheer for them if they're not winning. I'm going to cheer for them when they are winning. But I think a big difference between myself and a lot of Michigan fans. Here's my quick dig. I I just feel like Michigan fans can never admit that they weren't the better team that day. Right? And that's been an issue that I've had my entire life with them. And I think it's gotten worse now with social medias as well. But they won. They kicked butt. It was almost dreadful to watch, but you got to get through it.
Yep. It's hard when they're not good.
and they're not. So I'm hoping this next week. I know they're going to Illinois, which is they're leading the West right now, the rank, but I mean it's still Illinois, and I don't think they've played anybody yet, so we'd have to look at that. So game's over. Michigan taking Paul Bunyan home. Hats off to you. Elephant in the room, though, the tunnel issue. So I did want to hear your thoughts on the punishments first, and then I'll kind of rebound after that. So obviously there was an altercation in the tunnel. The Michigan State team is looking to be the instigator, be the bad look here. I don't want to ever see it. It was garbage. It was terrible. I think that Michigan State moved swiftly on this with the law enforcement teams just to see what's going on. So, what was your thought on the punishments?
Well, I mean, you hate to see it. It was a good, hard-fought game, whatever you want to say. But then you get in the tunnel like that. I'd love some more context from what I've seen in other videos going around social media. They're beating the hell out of that kid. You know, there's a couple guys on one. I think Michigan State has done what they need to do. They said, we're cooperating with the police. We're continuing to gather information. They're suspended. They can't do anything. That's obviously not enough. I mean, you smack somebody in the head with a helmet, give them a concussion. This starts going over to the line of assault, you know. And I kind of thought the same thing when Myles Garrett did this on Monday Night Football a couple of years back. I'm like, that's assault. Like, that's not. This is beyond the game at this point. How can you just do that?
When you take yourself out of the game and do things like that, yes, it's assault. It's terrible. It's stupid.
There was enough people down there that, I mean, the cops know they're under a microscope on this. Harbaugh said today he wants more of punishment than just a suspension, and I got to agree with him. This is something where, you know, they're most likely going to get charged, and deservedly so. And it sucks because it's something that doesn't need to happen, and it's something that's so easy to prevent.
So my thing on Jim Harbaugh on that is, why are you putting in your opinion on what Michigan State should do? I just feel like that's an opportunity for Jim Harbaugh to say, hey, this is in their hands. They're going to handle it the way they want and should. I have no opinion on it. I don't see the benefit of him saying
they assaulted his players. He's having his team's back. He's having his players back. I think silence would not be a good thing there. What if you get attacked in your home stadium and your coach is like, they're on it? Nah, that's a bad look. He's got to say something and come out and have his players back there.
It's fair. Right? But I just want to see. I just want Michigan State to handle it, not Jim Harbaugh. I guess that's my only thing.
I mean, it's not Michigan State. It was between two of them. And I'd say the other thing, I mean, if Michigan players had jumped a Spartan kid, would you not want Tucker to be like, this is outrageous? When we come into another team's stadium, we should be safe. And our players should be like, if Michigan was like, we're suspending them and going from there, that wouldn't be enough if the rules were reversed. So, he's got to come out and say something. And I think making sure it stays kind of a top-of-line focus, I got no issue with it. You got to have your teams back.
You can have it.
I'll take it.
So Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan administration was asked if anything was said to provoke the incident. And instead of saying no, there wasn't, they both went mute. And then administration said, we can't comment on that until legal investigations play out. So
obviously something was said to provoke.
I would agree too, but again, nothing justifies it.
This goes back, like, when I say context, like, I would love to know because all the videos take place as the fight started.
Yep.
I haven't seen anything about leading up to it. So
leading up to it.
There's definitely
nobody's going to have their camera out to lead up to it.
Now, why? There's nothing that you can say that should result in you getting jumped in the tunnel like that. They're going to talk shit. They do it on the field. They do it on the sidelines. They do it running on and off the field. It's a rivalry game. They do it online. That happens. You can't get physical because of what somebody says. Now, did the Michigan players swing first? Was there some back and forth? That would probably change in the punishment, in my opinion, but you still can't jump a guy 4-on-1. You can't use your helmet as a weapon. That is a whole different thing. Is he used his helmet as a weapon too? Like, you're not just throwing punches at that point, which is a little bit.
What you can do is use that as an opportunity to be a better person.
Yeah.
Represent your university on both sides. So, incident happened. I believe Michigan State's handling it the best that they can. Mel Tucker came out, and I hate the fact that they're blaming him. Like,
yeah,
he doesn't go into meetings and say, "Hey, let's go in there and start fights." Like, none of that.
Nobody wants this less than Mel Tucker right now.
Correct.
He was already under the gun to begin with. Like, people thought he was going to come in and really have MSU continue that hot year they had last year. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's 2-0 against Michigan, right? Against his rival.
That's a big deal.
So, like, that, oh yeah, that counts for him. He's riding high. Tuck coming all offseason was, what we heard. So with the start they've had to come in and really get handled by U of M, this is quite literally the worst thing that could have happened to him this week, was to get handled by Michigan. Oh, and then our team gets caught on camera swinging their helmet and hitting a guy in the head, giving him a concussion. It's just all in all bad. Nobody wants this less than Mel Tucker to go away, be done with, and to move on. He wants to get to next season so bad.
So, tunnel issue. Is this something Michigan needs to address?
Well, I think they have to now because somebody got hurt. I think Penn State was saying some stuff about it last week. It's really never been an issue. There's always been those videos, especially during Michigan State and Ohio State weeks, of the guys John coming in and out.
Back and forth, yeah.
Which to me was always great content. I was like, love to see it. Love to see teams not like each other when they go out and play. So I never had an issue with it. Now people are getting a little physical down there. I don't like it. I think there's some easy solutions. Get a contractor, give them 20, 30 grand, have them build a wall in between them coming out. So they come out and they funnel in and out. It's just something that's so easily handled by coaches and one physical barrier.
How big is that? How big is that tunnel? I mean, is it enough or?
So when I was doing some stuff for ESPN, I've gone down it. It's huge. You can drive a truck through there. Like, okay. It's a very big tunnel. So to have enough room to do that, not an issue.
Something's got to be done. I mean,
yeah,
at this point, I think it might only get worse.
You need more than a fence. It's one of those things. It's like once you light that match, now people know that there's an option and they know how close they were. I guarantee next week they're going to have added security. They're going to have people in there. They're going to have some kind of physical barrier keeping them apart. But we'll see. We'll see if they actually take steps and build something new with it. It's odd that it's never been an issue for 100 years, and then in 2 consecutive weeks, this happens.
It's a weird coincidence, but I hope that they don't need to. I don't think they need to build a wall. I don't think they need to separate the teams more. I just think that they should probably have team meetings. Hey, this is what happens. Then it's our turn. Just
that's the way they do it. Be a little bit
more vocal about it and create opportunities for teams to just do the better thing.
It won't happen again this year, especially if these kids get charged. There's going to be no kid that's going to be out there willing to go to jail to take a swing at somebody. There's too much on the line for these kids, especially now that they actually get their NIL deals.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that the NIL deals are like guaranteed so that they're not sports related, but I'm pretty sure there's a clause in there. If you go to jail or you get charged, they can drop you. All right, moving on to a team that we both love to hate some weeks, the Detroit Lions.
Emotionally love.
It's not fun. You know, I have a thing I say a lot. It's hard to be a Lions fan, but we do it. They're 1-6. They blew a 14-0 lead this week at home to Miami, and it was embarrassing. It's so bad. My wife, who's not really a football fan, she knows I watch every week. The Lions start off hot. I would say about 70% of the time they go out and they jump to a lead, and I get excited. I start feeling good. I have an extra beer. I'm like, I'm feeling it. I'm like, this is coming. This is looking strong. She looks me dead in the eye. She goes, Don't do this to yourself again.
Just stop it.
She goes, we've seen this movie. We know how it ends. She's like, they're going to blow it. And sure as shit, every week. They do.
It's and like not even funny anymore. It never was funny. But now, like you said, it's just like, well, let's just wait 10 minutes. They'll blow it. So currently 1-6. Another 2-score blown lead. Leading at halftime. And I think I saw a stat on Twitter. I'll try to find it, I guess, while we're going here. But I think they've been outscored like 38-0 in the last couple games in the second half.
Yep, they haven't scored. They haven't scored a second half point in 3 weeks. They didn't score at all versus the Patriots, which as a game I was dying to win. I really wanted to beat Matt Patricia as the play caller back in New England. Regardless, to not score any second half points, that just tells me one thing: you are getting utterly outcoached.
Correct. I mean, that screams adjustments failure.
What that tells me that you're not scoring any points is you came in, you had a good game plan. At least in the games where they scored in the first half, and especially against Miami. They knew what they wanted to do. They had a really good idea of what Miami was going to do. They came out and they executed very well. So Miami comes in at halftime. They take a look at what they're doing. Say, all right, Lions are moving the ball well. Jared Goff is looking like he did back in 2017. They're running the ball effectively, and they're using play action really well. Cool. We're going to bring an extra guy down into the box. We're going to kind of stop that run game, and we're going to take away that portion of it, and we completely fell apart. And the Lions never changed what they were trying to do.
Correct. To be outcoached by 37, 38?
Yeah.
1 year in the league.
I guess he is a genius, though. He's one of those, he went to Yale. He's very smart, but still, it's just maybe don't have an entire coaching staff of ex-players. Maybe have a couple guys out there that just eat, breathe, and sleep football strategy. Not everything requires going for it on fourth down and biting kneecaps. Sometimes you got to outsmart your opponent.
So Lions now 1-6, and with today's news of trading T.J. Hockenson, we're definitely moving forward into a draft strategy mindset. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Thoughts on the TJ trade?
I don't like it. Like, he was the one piece of our team. He's in his fourth year that I was like, okay, I think this guy could be really good for a decade. Like, I think this guy could be one of the cornerstones moving forward. You hope Hutchinson's going to be one of those guys. You hope that Okuda's going to be one of those guys, but you don't know because they're not there yet. You hope these draft picks are. He was the guy that I was like, we can get rid of everybody else. I don't mind. Like, I like Swift. He's not very durable. He's a little guy. I don't know how long he'll be able to hack it. So, like, I
mean, no team's going to take him. He plays half the games.
That's what I mean. So, like, Hawk's the one guy that comes out and really has just been productive for the past couple of years. So I'm like, okay, we got him. I would have been happy to lose anybody else. And the return we got for him, I just thought was, you know, like, this is why you don't. Extremely You're giving up 2 4th-round picks, which, I mean, I never thought late-round picks were the most valuable. Sure, you find some great players in there, but I mean, you're shooting craps at that point. So whether you get him or not, whatever. But for a second and a third, of course, I would have liked to see maybe just a flat first round pick for him, which from Minnesota this year is going to be in the 20s.
Late
Yeah.
round.
Because, I mean, here's my thing. Say you get a second and third. Best case scenario is you get a guy like Hawk, right? Like a consistent potential Pro Bowl tight end. I don't know. It just seemed like we got fleeced in division, and you know that he's going to come out and just have career games against us twice a year for the next 10 years.
So I saw that come in today. I don't even know did you send it to me or somebody else? I can't remember. But I read that, and I was initially 100% all the emotions that you just said. He's a locker room guy. He's been kind of a consistent, I'm going to get my 5-6 catches. Sometimes they're in the end zone. Sometimes they're not. The biggest thing that I'm going to miss from him is he's an excellent blocking tight end. Yeah, he's very good blocking tight end. So we lose that, and that just takes Swift and Williams down a notch if teams can kind of scheme around Hawk's replacement. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, Hawk he had one more year on his contract, right?
Yep, he was due to be an unrestricted free agent in 2024, so we had him locked up through the year. It's not a crazy contract either.
Trade him next year.
Right now,
didn't you say anything bad about Jared Goff now?
I actually don't mind Jared Goff. I
don't mind him either.
I don't think he's the
a very
guy.
Good game manager, and he can throw the ball deep. Good enough accuracy.
We've seen it. If you give him a top 10 defense, he can take your team to the Super Bowl.
Correct. And if you give him more than 4.5 seconds to find the open guy, he's going to find it. He's no Matt Stafford. He's no gunslinger, but I don't think that Jared Goff is the issue.
No, he's not the problem, but he's also not the solution. It's one of those things where like people are very polarized on him. It's like, they had the number one offense through the first 5 weeks. Points were not the problem. Having the historically bad defense. If we had had the 20th ranked defense this year, we'd be 500
all day.
It's not even close to being Jared Goff's fault.
So to follow up on Hawk, I was emotionally just like you were. I think it's a bad move. Blah blah blah. He's a good guy in the locker room. He's consistent. He's great at rush blocking. He's not the problem.
No,
he's not the problem. So to be a seller on him really disappointed me. Like you said, get rid of anybody else. Just keep the guy that is doing things right. But the more I think about it, the more I'm buying into this trade. So my personal opinion.
You want to do a glass half full? We can do a glass half full.
That's fair. So I think he might have went to the front office and said, listen, I'm going to want top 5 money next year. And I don't think that I'm going to want to stay. So I think, and this is just speculation. This is just my opinion. I don't think it hasn't come out that he's done this, but I think he went in and said, hey, I'm not going to make a big deal about this, but I'd like to be traded and get what you can out of me right now. I think that's what might have happened here. Behind closed doors, just a request to get out. Nice and clean, no drama.
Yeah, you never know, and that stuff definitely happens. I want to say last week he had made a comment. There were trade rumors, and he had said he wanted to stay in Detroit. Now he might have said, "I want to stay in Detroit for top 5 tight end money." No, the context is missing. The hard part about not being on the inside, but it's hard when you hear a guy that's good, that's a top 8 player at his position say, "I want to be in Detroit."
He's a 6 through 10 tier guy.
How many guys want to come to Detroit and stay in Detroit, especially when we're not good?
Closing statement on TJ Hockenson from me, at least. I'm gonna throw a nice little stat your way. Take it as you want, but through their 47 games, their first 47 games, TJ Hockenson, 186 receptions, 2,068 yards and 15 scores. Okay. Gentleman who I loved, Brandon Pettigrew, through 47 games, 207 receptions, same amount of yards, 12 scores.
That does make me feel better, but I did like Pettigrew
Hockenson,
as well.
hey, Hockenson saying, hey, I'm a top 5 tight end, pay me. Pettigrew also says, I wouldn't waste a first-round pick on me.
Yeah, he's not wrong. You know, when you pull that out there, it makes it a lot easier to swallow that trade.
Tanking. They've given up. They're 1-6. See you later.
Yep, we're doing this. So we're tanking. So we talked a little bit about potential free agents next season. Like there's a bunch of running backs out there. We'd have to kind of look at this. But let's talk about the fun one. They cut Jared Goff, which is what they should do because he's not the answer. CJ Stroud or Bryce Young?
I'm not taking an Ohio State quarterback. Pure and simple.
Why not?
Name one successful Ohio State pro quarterback.
Kirk Herbstreit, best career of all time. Played for like a year and now he just commentates. Dude's making bank.
He is the most successful Ohio State quarterback. Yes, he is.
No, it's a good point.
Without even getting the stats, he's the most successful Ohio State quarterback. He's probably going to find this podcast and
make us go viral, Kirk. Past performance does not quantify future results. And
I disagree.
Who I would like to see, well, I mean, it's a different coaching staff now. I do think Ryan Day is the worst coach they've had at Ohio State in a long time, but CJ Stroud's good. You're seeing I guess it's a lot easier when you play Rutgers and you have the 3 best wide receivers in college football on your team.
I refuse to buy into CJ Stroud. I just can't do it. But I'll be honest with you, who I do want, and I don't know if he'd be draft eligible this year or next, but the Florida quarterback.
He's not good.
I think he's good, and I think that he's going to be dual threat.
I've watched. So again, like for those of you that don't know, I live in Florida now, but I've watched a couple of his games. The guy, he's got all the physical. He's like Terrell Pryor, right? That's the way I see him. He's just a big, strong, athletic dude. He doesn't have a lot of touch. Like he can't drop it in the basket. He can fire the ball probably 80 yards. He can run. I just don't think he's going to translate to the NFL. I would bet you when he does come out in the draft, people are going to start asking him if he's willing to play other positions.
Bryce Young, too small. Personally.
Agreed. I saw. That's the only thing I don't like about him.
You're 5'11", aren't you?
I'm 5'10", and I'll tell you right now, I can't see over an offensive line.
So, Goff, one more year, personal opinion. See if he can develop anything with the young wide receivers. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, if we can have 2 monsters as linebacker, but Will Anderson, Alabama, I think he's a Hall of Famer. And I don't think you ignore drafting Hall of Famers.
No, it's tough. I just look at today's NFL, and I don't know if first-round middle linebackers are the way to go. To me, they're very much like a tight end in today's game. Don't get me wrong. There's a few game changers, like Fred Warner out in San Francisco, unreal. Darius Leonard over there in Indy, unreal. Roquan Smith is like the poster child for somebody that should get paid, and the Bears are like, nah, we'll just send you to Baltimore.
Nah.
So, I mean, to me, the middle linebacker, the tight end, the running back are becoming interesting positions because they used to be top tier, top paid guys, and now they're becoming like filler guys, and you're seeing defensive line, offensive line, and wide receivers fill that gap up. These are the guys in the NFL today that are making the big money. These are the guys that we're investing early draft picks in. Now, if he's a Hall of Famer, sure. Of course you want that. That's so far down the road, it's hard to pick.
So are we the number 1 pick? I mean, if we're going to tank, you got to do it right.
I don't see Dan Campbell trying to tank. Now, I
don't see Dan Campbell trying to win right now.
I think he's trying to win. I think there's other people that are trying to not help him so much. I wouldn't be shocked if like Brad Holmes had told Aaron Glenn, like, hey, Dan Campbell's never going to buy into a tank, so just let other teams score forever. And I'll make sure you're safe, Aaron.
Sure.
Like, you're not going anywhere.
So,
like, be honest, could you imagine going into a meeting with Dan Campbell and be like, we want you to lose? And him being like, yeah, okay, I understand this plan. I don't think he has it in him.
You'd have to tape his mouth shut and bite him in the ankles or something. I don't know.
I do think the Lions are suffering from Hard Knocks expectations. Coming out of last season, going into this year, I knew we were going to have a very bad defense. I knew we were going to give up a lot of points. I put us at 4 wins. And then people saw Hard Knocks and just were like, oh, the Hard Knocks bias came in. They were like America's team of scrappy underdogs. But it's hard to be a scrappy underdog when you just continually get kicked in the teeth.
The Lions, closing argument there. We're headed for a dark couple months here to finish up the NFL season, and the only thing that we can cling on to is our emotional love for the team. All right, we got to move on to a team that I actually am excited about. The Lions make me depressed. Spartans make me depressed. I haven't got to be excited yet this entire podcast because both my teams are garbage cans.
Right, we're not even talking about the Tigers and the Wings. They're garbage too.
The Tigers, we're not going to talk about them for 6 months. Minimum.
They're going to keep them way down on the list.
Ugh,
I'm excited about the Pistons. Let's talk about the Pistons.
You do understand I'm a Red Sox fan, so I might be sliding some Red Sox stats in here and there, but I understand what the Tigers are doing, and it's a garbage can. So
it's really bad.
It's bad.
Pistons. We're not going to talk about it. Pistons. Let's start off with the obvious. The teal uniforms, so beautiful to see those in action again. They're incredible.
Let me ask you this. Why do you think they went away from them for so long? Were they embarrassed? Did they think that, like, that's not us anymore? We're going to work. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, why did they go away from them? They're so...
Well, I mean, the teals are really... But, I mean, they did their rebrand. Like, they got rid of Grant Hill. They did their kind of rebrand. We're starting a new go. And then they win a championship with the red and blue. And, like, the red and blue they had in the early 2000s, I think they were... I think they were trying to call back like the 89, 90 bad boys teams.
The colors.
And without really realizing that team was going to kind of take on that same mentality with those guys. And it just worked. Like the red and blue is such a nice color combo. Pistons got a good uniform. Like most Detroit sports teams have very good uniform combos. But the teals is such a good one-off. Like, because nobody has teal. Nobody has that color teal in their uniform. It's unique. It looks good. Everybody likes it.
The Hornets still rock a teal, which I love their new buzz.
I barely count them as a real team.
Yeah. I mean,
if Jordan wasn't the owner, like, would anybody ever talk about them?
Can you imagine the Hornets? They were so bad of a franchise. They're like, listen, we got to do a new branding. We're going to go with the Bobcats. And then they're like, Bobcats is worse. We got to flip back. Like, imagine being in that meeting. Hey, I think that we need to go back to the Hornets.
I mean, Hornets was a great logo, too. Like, I don't like changing the team for the sake of it. I think if you switch cities, you can do whatever you want.
10-year-old me is still waiting for that teal and purple killer bee to come out from a tree and just...
What happened in like 96 that every single kid had the Hornets starter jacket?
Or a Cowboys.
I feel like the teal, though, the Pistons rock that it's got a deeper shade of green. Like the teal in Miami is that Miami blue. The Hornets one is like a weird one. The Detroit Pistons teal is like its own thing. I've never seen any other team have like that type of shade, and it's just beautiful.
They're going to work. That's what it comes down to.
What I'm down with is Cade Cunningham looks like he's that dude.
So this was probably the most excited segment that I had here for this. I want to drop some stats here. Let me bring them up.
Here's the real question. Is Cade Cunningham going to be a star in the NBA, or is he going to be like a Scottie Pippen to where we need to get a star on this team to really be good?
I think that's an excellent question and a really interesting comparison there with Scottie Pippen. And I think to answer that, I think that he's that guy that's just below star level.
Yeah.
But is going to be just a monster, though. I don't think he has the personality, which I like, by the way. He's not in it for me and trying to make money and look at me and flash and dance. He's just a facilitator, which I love. So
they look like the team. They're just a star away from winning games, is what it looks like. They've got a team of role players, a team of number 2 guys, but there's nobody that's like, I'm that guy, give me the rock. And I think in basketball, you need that. You need that guy that just brings everybody in and is like, I got this. I'm taking the last shot. Like, you see all the great teams through history, they got that. Boston had Larry. The Bulls had Michael. Lakers had Kobe, Magic. Like, you knew who was taking the shot. The Warriors got Steph. I mean, they got a bunch of guys that could take the last shot, but they got Steph. It's just like, you need that one dude that's like, this is my team. I own it. We're going to do things this way, that pushes them. I hope Cade's that guy. It's just he doesn't appear to be. I think he'll be a very good player. I think he'll be an all-star type of guy, but I don't know if he's ever going to be like leading us to a championship. He might be on a championship team, but I don't know if he leads us to a championship.
You look at the NBA, all the past NBA champions the last 2 decades, star on the team, dominating the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Minus the 2004 Detroit Pistons.
Minus the literally the greatest team in the history of the NBA.
They're the only team to win a championship without a top 75 player.
Correct. Or a Hall of Famer.
Insane.
Or a future Hall of Famer. Well, no. That's not the stat. Ooh, you might have to scratch that one out. I think it was top 75.
It was something insane, which I just can't imagine. But they did it. But anyway, we
might have to find that stat because I think Chauncey's a top 75 player.
No, I saw. That's what brought it up. Is I saw the stat of the 2004 Pistons are the only team in NBA history to win the championship without a top 75 player.
Or was it? I'm going to find it, and we'll talk about it next week. But I think it might have been. They didn't have future or former MVP on the squad as well.
I can see that, and I don't think any of those guys are in the Hall of Fame. I don't think any of them are going to get in.
That's a Hall of Famer, isn't he?
Is he? I mean, maybe because he was special on defense, so he might get in on that.
Special is an understatement. So, let me throw some Cade stats at your way here. Last 4 games: 27-7-6, 23-9-10, 35-8-9, 26-6-8. He's potential triple-double scare in year 2 of the NBA. So I'd have to piggyback off of what you're saying here. We get a star in here, he can facilitate a little bit more.
Yeah.
Dangerous. So
yeah, that's the question. Like, is he going to be able to make the leap and become a star? Because look at a guy like Steph Curry. Steph Curry didn't come into the league a star. It took him a couple of years till he got his Klay Thompson, till he got his surrounding pieces, till he got Draymond eating bodies for him, till he really became that dude.
Sure.
And then we all know what he's done, 4 championships. So is Cade that guy? Is he just like, okay, we get 1 or 2 more pieces around Cade and he jumps to being, oh, okay, Cade's a legitimate star in the NBA? Or is he one of those, is he Klay Thompson? Is he Scottie Pippen? Is he Robin or is he Batman? We don't know.
It's tough. It's tough to know, especially in year 2 on a crappy team.
Yeah.
Because if he's on a decent team and he's getting that spotlight, he's getting those Sports Center reels. Nobody knows about the NBA except us. Nobody knows about the Pistons except us.
Right. They don't get any love. Like, if you even when they were good, like would they go to 4 or 5 straight Eastern Conference championships? Like they were insane. And every year, like, oh, I don't like the Pistons this year. It's like, why? All they do is shut people down.
Right.
And if it wasn't for a couple last minute shots by Ginobili and Parker, like they would have had 3 championships.
I can't even say the name Robert Horry without wanting to.
I hate Big Shot Bob. Sucks. Hate him. But yeah, I mean, you look at Cade, you look at his last 4 games, or really his start to this year. He's been the leading scorer for the Pistons 1, 2, 3 times. He's leading in assists, obviously, at the point. And honestly, he got the 9 rebounds, led the team against Atlanta. So he's balling. So I'm hoping he's Batman. Maybe he's is the guy.
He's that guy. He's going to be that guy. I do want to see a little more swag out of him, but I understand that's his personality. Just lead the team. I will say we're still in tanking mode, unfortunately, for this team. I think they're too young to understand that how to win in the NBA. It takes a couple years to develop that. So what's really important for the Detroit Pistons and their management is keeping this core together. That's going to be their biggest task because in 2 years, Cade's up for free agency. So he's going to have the opportunity. You got a max contract to him. You got to do what the Warriors did.
For
Draft
sure.
low, pay him, keep them together.
They're going to have to. But hopefully, like you said, we can keep guys like Sadiq Bey. Let's try and get them in there. Let's build this young core. We got Jaden Ivey. I mean, I think Ivey's been doing some really good things for a smaller point guard at 6'4". Like, he's not a big dude, but he makes a lot of plays. So if we can get some of those young guys, keep them in there, keep them happy, and then they need one more. If they can get an elite player, a top 15 guy on this team, all of a sudden they go from losing these 2-point games to winning them, and you're a top 4 seed in the East. I think best case this scenario, if they play well, they're going to be a 9 or 10 seed. I think that's the best case for this team. Realistically, I think they're going to tank, try and get a top pick, and honestly, I don't even know who's good in college basketball that they would go after.
I see 25 to 30 wins this year out of this squad. If they really got after it, maybe 35. But they won opening night against a really bad Orlando Magic team. Granted, they're rebuilding as well. Losing 5 straight and then putting the world on notice here, beating the Warriors on teal jersey night. So
yeah, and then they hung with Milwaukee. They hung with Milwaukee last night. Lose by 2, but that's the difference of having those elite guys is those close games. You start winning them.
Yep.
But so they have
Pistons. Hope. I think the Pistons throughout this podcast is going to be a. Let's see what next week looks like.
Yeah, let's see. We got Milwaukee again tomorrow, Cleveland on Friday, which I dislike Cleveland because I feel like them getting LeBron ended all the good things for the Pistons in like 2007, 2008. They get LeBron and he knocks them out of the playoff, and he got every call. So I hate Cleveland forever, the Cavs for that.
I could do an entire 2-hour podcast on my dislike for LeBron James. Do I respect his game? 1,000%.
Yeah, incredible player.
Dude's a monster.
I hate what he did to Detroit. It's like the same reason I respect Michael Jordan. I don't like Michael Jordan because he made the Pistons not good anymore.
Right.
But I do love his shoes, though. Love them. All right, so I think
the Spurs. You can throw the Spurs in that.
Oh, Greg Popovich is like one of my least favorite humans.
Does he even care anymore?
I don't think so. I don't think he cares at all. I think after like Parker and Ginobili retired, he was like, I did what I needed to do. I have nothing. I
got my fun. I ate my cake. I'm good to go.
I did that. Timmy Duncan carried me and these scrubs to 5 championships. Like, let's get out of here. And I hate those teams, but does anybody get less love and like the all-time great talk than Tim Duncan?
Totally disrespected, but he's not sexy. His game wasn't sexy.
No, but it was incredible. Like the guy, he gets no love. He deserves more. I can't. He's, you know how nice and how plain he is I should despise him. If he had any personality whatsoever, I would hate his guts, but he was so vanilla. I'm like, why is nobody respecting this man?
I mean, 5 championships. Imagine him not losing to LeBron there, and he's equal 6-0 with Jordan.
He's the greatest power forward to ever play the game.
Ray Allen destroyed another 6-0 champion.
Jesus Shuttlesworth strikes again. Is that the greatest 3-point shot of all time? The corner 3 in Miami.
Corner 3 in Miami, down by yeah. I mean, and
There's
all
that.
Miami's fans were leaving.
That was probably my favorite part, is the Miami fans trying to get back in, and it's just like, no, that's what you get. You sit and you stay to the end in a one-shot game like that. It's the finals. You know those tickets had to be like $2,000 a pop, and they left early.
At a minimum.
It's crazy to me.
They're walking out with their gator boat shoes and their button ups and with the t-shirt over top.
I heard a great story, and it made me laugh. When Miami signed LeBron and Bosch, they fired their sales team.
They don't need them.
They're just like, we're good. We just have the computers taking orders and the guys in the ticket office. We don't need you to call and sell to any businesses. They were good. Don't know if it's true. Unsubstantiated rumor I heard down here while working in Florida sports leagues.
That's a tough take.
I want to do some research on it and find out more and let you know.
Well, episode 2.
I'm going to dive in.
We'll do
So the last thing,
talk on that.
let's talk Halloween. Some funny dad stuff. Did you guys go out? You do some trick or treating?
We went out. We recently moved, so we went back to our old neighborhood. I got 3 kids for the listeners, our future listeners here. See, Lexi was a witch. Zoe was Chase from Paw Patrol, and little man Theo was Cookie Monster, which
dig it.
He won. I mean, everybody was liking him. Kids did work. I mean, I had Reese's for dinner tonight just because of it.
They're at a good age too. Like, you got a good spread, and the girls are old enough that they can run now between the houses.
Yes.
They go.
There was a couple times Theo was crying because he couldn't keep up. But at that point, I was on my 3rd Bloody Mary, and I was just like, "Hey, you got to keep up, bro.
You gotta go.
Nobody's gonna carry you."
So I have one daughter. She's 2.5. Cameron, and then we have one more daughter coming literally any day now. So I was not able to drink last night because we have bags in the car.
You can't.
We're in the go window of going to the hospital. So we're walking around. Cameron, we were going to do family costumes originally. So my wife being very pregnant, we were going to do Monsters Inc. I was going to be Sully. She was going to be Mike Wazowski with the eye on her belly, and Cameron was going to be Boo. Well, the costumes came and they were just janky, and in Cameron's Boo, it was too much, and it's 85 degrees down here. They were all fleece and all that. We're like, this doesn't work. We got to pivot here. So we don't do that. We send that back, and then my daughter, she's very into Minions. She loves the Minions right now, so we got her a Minion costume. Jory and I had been Minions back in 2015, so we had suspenders, we had all the stuff for it. So we thought, we have a costume bag in the attic with all of our costumes.
Mm-hmm.
So we get the Minion costume for Cameron, and it's completely fleece. And again, we're like, well, this doesn't work. She's gonna die outside.
Can't do that in Florida.
She's gonna go 2 houses down. So then I go upstairs, and this is on the 30th. We were like, well, she can't be a Minion. The 31st, we go up and I get all the costumes out of grab one. Jory has kept none of my costumes and all of hers. So I have no costumes in the house to wear.
That's extremely accurate for a wife. Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I was in shock. She's like, well, we haven't even been living together the whole time we've done Halloween costumes.
I called BS on that.
I said, Jory,
for 10
Jory,
years.
we've been living together for 8 years. We only did one Halloween before we moved in together. And like that was the one. She's like, well, we were nerds that year, and I don't have the nerds. I was like, yeah. What about the last 8? Last 7. So, so I'm like, all right, what can we do? Cameron has a Wonder Woman costume that somebody got her, so we put Cam in the Wonder Woman costume, and she was the star of the show in the neighborhood. Just everybody was loving it. Jory, being pregnant, she put on like a mask and went as a Ninja Turtle. Like, she was good. I told her she should put the shell on her belly and walk around backwards. Did not go over well. Was not well received. So I think to myself, I'm like, all right, well, what can I go as? What do I have in my closet that's a costume? So I look at my closet. I see.
So you guys are the family dress up together.
We love to dress up, Jory. Okay. So like we've done before Cameron, we went as nerds one year, which this was when I was working in Ann Arbor. I dressed up. I had glasses. I did like a part down the middle of my hair, suspenders. I went to the bar that I had been working at for like 5 months. They did not recognize me. They did not know who I was. I had to like take my glasses off, and they're like, "No, it's me." They're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that doesn't even look like you." We went as Minions one year, which like we got the mask. We painted ourselves purple and yellow after the second movie. Like we've done all kinds of fun stuff. Last year, 2 years ago with COVID, we didn't do anything. And then the next one we had Cameron. She was old enough to trick or treat, so she was a little police officer at like a year and a half, and we dressed up as convicts. So she was like perp walking us through the neighborhood. That one was good. We got good compliments on that. So this year I go into the closet and I'm like, all right, Cameron's being Wonder Woman. Jory's got this Ninja Turtle outfit she's going to wear. I'm like, I have nothing. What can I wear? I see a Hawaiian shirt. I've got like a Hawaiian pineapple shirt. And like I see I have blue jeans. I said, I can go as that Top Gun guy. I have a good beard and mustache going right now. So I shave my beard. I rock a nice full mustache. I grab some aviators. I throw on a wife beater, the Hawaiian shirt, and the jeans, and boom, I'm Rooster walking around the neighborhood. It's light, it's airy.
You better look out because Jory might throw that away now.
Dude, she saw it, and she's like, you can't wear that. If I go into labor and you give birth, and I have to give birth while you have a mustache, she's like, I'm going to hate you so much. She'd be like, during the first one, during COVID, you shaved your head before it, so you're bald in all the pictures. With Cameron, she's like, if you have a mustache and you're wearing a Hawaiian shirt while I give birth to this baby, she's like, I'm going to be so upset. I said, that would be the greatest thing that could happen, is if you go into labor and I'm dressed as Rooster from Top Gun while we give birth to our daughter.
That's, you're going to laugh about it later. So when our first...
Far later.
When our first was born, she was born 4 weeks early. So my wife went home to go visit family and get a call about 2 a.m. Mind you, I had friends over and we drank, and it was March. So we were watching basketball games. I was unfortunately extremely drunk still. And got a call about 2:30. Hey, I'm going to the hospital. Amber's going to labor. And I'm like, oh, man, what a weird dream, I said to myself as I pulled together a little bit. 45 minutes later, get a second call. Hey, where are you at? You on your way? I was like, oh, wow, that was real. So, yeah, I was drunk for the birth of my first child, and it's not my fault.
If you don't make it, does that end your marriage, do you think? Honey, what happened? I got too drunk watching March Madness, so I missed the birth of my child.
When you say it like that, it sounds bad, but she was born 4 weeks early. That's the only justification I have, is nobody knew that was coming. So,
oh my goodness, that's so bad. All right, let's talk Halloween.
Finishing up here on Halloween.
Favorite candy?
Favorite candy all day is Reese's.
It's the top tier Halloween candy. Is number one. It's Reese's Cup.
We don't even have to argue about it.
When you trade, Reese's. I would always trade for Reese's. The only one I did like to get outside of Reese's is and this kind of goes into the forgotten childhood candy that I didn't see at all this year, bottle caps. Bottle caps were such a nice change of pace. It's sugar. But
Pure
like
sugar. I
everything
remember
else we would
bottle
always
caps, yeah.
get was chocolate. It was always chocolate based, which was great. And then you get those little like Skittles and all that, but there was only a couple fruit ones, and the bottle caps were so rare. Like I always looked out for those. I missed that.
Do you think they still make them?
I'm sure, Mars Candy has them out there somewhere in one of those, like, you know how, like, when you go and they've got the variety packs, and there's, like, the good one that has Reese's and Twix and Hershey's, and then there's, like, the trash one that has, like, Mounds and Milk Duds. I bet you the bottle caps are in there.
Or in that one, yeah.
My mom got those, and she's like, what? I like Dots. I was like, you're going to get egged. I'm like, you got to get some Reese's in this basket ASAP.
ASAP. Anything with chocolate and peanut butter.
Speaking of best candies, have you had Take 5 bars?
I have, yes. I mean, that's a Reese's like department, isn't it?
Yeah, it's there. It's their pretzel with caramel and chocolate. They made a Take 5 Reese's this year.
Are they trying to push that as like an energy bar, right?
No, it's just like it's very much a candy. It's chocolate, caramel, and a pretzel. Like it's this candy, but they made a combination Reese's Take 5 bar. It was phenomenal. You got to get one.
I'm not big on candy. I'm more of a salty snack guy, but Reese's all day. Did hear on the radio yesterday, 90% of parents revealed that they eat their kids' candy. I just thought that was just 100%. Duh. I mean, that's the cool part about being a parent.
All that tells me is 10% of parents were lying for no reason there.
Yes.
No
reason at all. There's zero repercussions to tell the truth there.
It's called a dad tax. So maybe it's 100% of dads and 80% of moms. Maybe some moms were being good, but I don't know a single father that's like, no, I'm not taking my kids' candy. It's the dad tax.
For sure. I did try to explain that last night, and both my kids were like, shut up.
You got to take control. Be like, no, I'm teaching you about life. 25% of all of your eating comes through me first. I get first pick.
First pick. Start paying rent. That's what it is. Dad tax and rent.
Dad tax.
So next week's episode,
we'll talk about Michigan's rout of Rutgers, and
it'll be easy.
It'll be a quick recap.
Is this a trap game? No,
it's not.
It's not.
Nebraska is the trap game. I think Sparty. I'm going to call it now. I think Sparty pulls the upset here. I think with all the chaos and turmoil, they come together as a team.
Yeah, I agree. Winning a ranked road game will all but increase Tucker's status as winning the big games.
He needs a win.
They're going to be desperate for a win. Post TJ Hockenson era, Detroit Lions. They're playing a must-win Packers team, so I see them winning maybe 2 or 3 more games this year. And I don't think it's going to be this weekend.
I think I don't know, man. Like Packers didn't make a single move today, but I could see Aaron Rodgers just balls out against us. He's just going to come and take a shit on the Lions.
No doubt in my mind that the Lions lose this week. So, man, did we talk about the Red Wings?
We didn't talk about them all. Red Wings? We talked that they were one of our teams, and I think we could because I think they're actually doing some good things. I'm excited with what Yzerman has done between picks. It looks like he's trying to build Tampa Bay 2.0.
And I think that the rebuild is over.
I think that they're starting to compete now. You're right. Yep. I think he did what he wanted to do with picks. I think he got the guys he wanted to get. And now they're just a few pieces away and maybe a year or two of development from be like, oh, this is a team. Like these guys are going to be something to worry about.
Well, Six Pack Sports Podcast. Did I say that right? Six Pack Sports Podcast, episode 1 in the books. We're going to be trying some different things here. Next week, I'll be drinking some Michigan beer. I don't know if you have the opportunity to get some Michigan beer down in Florida, but
I'm just going to go to the store and buy random beers and just try and do a different one every week. Some they're going to be good. Some weeks they're going to be bad.
Yeah, I'm going to try to stick to Michigan only beers, just to try to keep that theme. But I might sneak a Spotted Cow in from Wisconsin. So
Just as long as we're not playing Green Bay, you're good.
Right. So, Richie, where can our listeners find us?
Well, since you're listening to us wherever you're listening now, but you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. So we're going to have them on Spotify, Apple, all the good stuff. But yeah, if you're already listening, I think you know.
Very cool. Episode 1 in the books. We'll see you next week.
See ya.